Hey everybody, it is Friday. It's time for another full run Friday. And as promised, this one is going to be Ghost Rider. Actually, it's going to be the first of at least two videos showcasing my Ghost Rider collection. I've got over 300 Ghost Rider comics in my collection. I decided to kind of break it down a little bit. So today I'm just going to do the Johnny Blaze run. And that is the original Ghost Rider. Decided to, maybe break out a little bit of my Ghost Rider stuff. I do have the Ghost Rider mug. I love this thing. I do use it quite a bit. I was digging through some stuff and found that I still have, in package from 1995, Ghost Rider bubblegum. I have two of these, and they're still in one piece in there. I have no idea what they look like. I bought these and never opened them, clearly. I've never seen what the gum looks like. I've never tasted the gum, and I'm sure as hell not going to do it now. So, but I'm not going to start pulling out all my Ghost Rider stuff. I do have quite a few Ghost Rider items in and around my room. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the character. It was the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider that got me into collecting comics back in 1990. At the time, I was going into the same LCS that I'm still going to, Nostalgia Inc. in downtown Jackson, Michigan. I've been going down there since like 1988. Would go down there and buy my Ghost Rider, my Fangoria, Gorazone, Toxic Horror, Slaughterhouse, all my horror movie magazines. And one day I decided to walk a little bit further into the store, because he would have the magazines up towards the front door, and I'd just grab those, and sometimes he'd actually even have them pulled for me. And I said, let's check out this comic book stuff. And I saw Ghost Rider Volume 2, Number 1 back in 1990. It's the Danny Ketch series. It was a flaming skull. It was the spikes. It was the motorcycle with the flaming tires on it. Caught my attention and picked up that first issue. And then it's like, well, let's find out when the second issue comes out. Find out when the third issue comes out. And then, Fangoria then covered Evil Ernie, and so I started getting the Evil Ernie, and my the guy who used to own my LCS, Leonard, he recommended, since I was getting into sort of like these horror movies, I'm getting the comic books, the EC comics. So the Gladstone reprints then became a thing for me. It was just a snowball effect, and it all started with Ghost Rider. Granted, it's not the Ghost Rider I'm going to be showing you today, but it's still Ghost Rider, and I'm a big fan. And I'm going to say this, though. I'm a big fan of the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. I'm a big fan of the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. A lot of the stuff that they're doing today, especially with like Robbie Reyes, Alejandro, all these other Ghost Riders, none of it makes any sense to me. I don't understand why they're even around. It seems like they've really, I don't want to say diluted, but they really honestly polluted the Ghost Rider continuity with all these new concepts that really have nothing to do with Ghost Rider, in my own personal opinion. So stuff like Robbie Reyes, I don't care about. You're not going to hear, I don't even think I have a single Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider book. I have a few. I think I have Alejandro's first issue because I like the cover for it. I don't have the Hammer Lane series. I refer to Hammer Lane because it was a horrible book. I remember picking up the first issue, thinking, great, a new Ghost Rider issue, and I picked it up. And right away, the cover, no, and I've kind of flipping through it, no, and I put it back down and became one of the first Ghost Rider books I never bought. But aside from that, let's flip this camera around and let's start talking about the original flaming skulled motorcycle riding Ghost Rider. All right, so now of course, being a Ghost Rider fan, I did pick up these Ghost Rider special boxes, or whatever you want to call them. I actually have two of them. I have so many Ghost Rider books in my collection, I wound up having to get two of them, and come to find out that those two aren't going to be enough for my entire collection. I'm going to actually probably have to buy one more. But that is neither here nor there. So let's jump into it. Now, I got to tell you, I do not have, unfortunately, I don't have the first appearance of Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. And I actually think that this really beat up copy of Marvel Spotlight number 11 is actually the oldest appearance I have, original print appearance I have of the original Ghost Rider. Marvel Spotlight 5, of course, Johnny Blaze first appearance. That is my bucket list. That is the number one book on my bucket list of back issues that I want to get. Will I ever have it? Probably not. I keep hoping that Marvel will do sort of like a, not really a True Believers. I would prefer it if they did a facsimile edition. So if they ever did a facsimile edition of Marvel Spotlight number 5, I would be happy. That would be what I would need. But that is neither here nor there. Let's talk about Ghost Rider, Volume 1, Number 1. The most supernatural superhero of all. His first fearsome issue. I remember when I was finally able to get this book. Actually, I got it from Nostalgia, and he had gotten it as part of the collection. If I remember correctly, it was a little out of my price range. I wasn't able to pay for it all at once, but he let me make payments on it. And I remember being able to make that final payment. I remember bringing this book home, and I set it up sort of like that. And I kid you not, I stared at this book for probably about an hour because I just could not believe that I finally had this issue of Ghost Rider. So we got issue 2. Most of these are in pretty good condition. I think there's a couple of them that I want to upgrade. Some of the covers are not as spectacular as others. There are a couple in here that are some of my absolute favorite covers of all time. This is one of them. I don't know what it is about this cover, but I really like this cover. Issue 6, one of the first transformation covers. Actually, this might be the only cover where he transforms right on it. And in the original series, the beginning of it, he would turn to the Ghost Rider. Originally, it was he would turn at night. As soon as it was nighttime, he would turn to the Ghost Rider. And then as the series progressed, and it was almost like he would turn to the Ghost Rider at night, and then after doing that so often, then he was able to turn into Ghost Rider when there was evil around. And then shortly after that, he was able to turn into Ghost Rider at will. Then he started having trouble turning back into Johnny Blaze, and that's kind of when we started to find out that the visage of Ghost Rider, the supernatural part of it, was a demon called Zarathos. And Zarathos, back in ancient times, he was worshipped by people, and he was a soul devourer. And it was his devouring of so many souls that brought him to the attention of Mephisto. They had a big fight. Zarathos lost, and so Mephisto throughout time would toy with him, with his essence, and put him into various human hosts throughout time. And it wasn't until he was able to do this because Zarathos had lost his memory, couldn't remember who or what he was. And then when you put him in the Johnny Blaze, he started to sort of reform himself. He started to get his memories back, and that's when he would go from changing at nighttime to changing when evil was around, to changing at will, to having trouble changing back into human. Because as he was changing in Blaze, who was at the time the longest running human host for Zarathos, he was getting back who he was, and it was he was portrayed as a hero, but he was really not much of a hero. Now this issue here. And this one is actually kind of interesting because it wasn't a 2-part issue. It was like they did the one cover, and Hulk wasn't in it. They did another story, and then they finally did the Hulk story. So it's kind of a filler issue. So sorry about that side rambling. There's Karen Page from Daredevil. The Orb. Another Orb cover. I like that one too. Ghost Rider fighting a shark. I'm a huge fan of Jaws, so to see those two together, that was pretty awesome. And Damien Hellstorm. I know he's called Hellstrom now. I don't like the way that sounds. Hellstorm sounds so much better. And there's a first Spider-Man appearance on the cover of a Ghost Rider book. Nice. We'll see about that Satan. I'm sure Marvel got into some trouble back in those days for using the word Satan on their covers. There's a Daredevil appearance, kind of a continuation with Karen Page. Gladiator and the Eel. Not sure what their deal was. There's that. Water Wizard? Yeah, Water Wizard. And he also got a new logo at this point. Here's his original first logo. And then it did switch over to this one. It's probably my second favorite logo. This is probably one of my top 5 favorite covers right here. I just love that. And that's actually on the mug or the cup that I have. It's one of the reasons why I bought the cup, because I had my favorite cover on it, or one of my favorite covers. Manticore, because, you know, why not? It's almost like Mantar from the WWF. The orb cover. I like that drawing of Ghost Rider down there. These are Ernie Cullen covers. Excuse me. There's a Doctor Strange. Now, when Ghost Rider would come back in the 90s, he would have an early run-in with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange would think that the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider was the same demon that this Ghost Rider is. And of course, we now know that it wasn't. I like how these the earlier covers are kind of simple. Now we're starting to really get into some really wonderfully detailed covers. Some great stuff. His bike also evolved throughout the series as well. Originally, he was just riding Blaze's bike when he was Ghost Rider, and then he got another Hell Cycle that I guess his bike would turn into it. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've read the series, but the best bike that he had back in this series was when he had enough of his power back and he was able to form a motorcycle out of Hellfire completely. Now, the Blaze Ghost Rider was not about, really was not about vengeance, was not about protecting the innocent. He was about punishing the wicked. He just relished in punishing the wicked. He would just torture and just burn the souls of people. Oh, it was some good stuff. That's a good cover too. I like the purples. We're 45. There's another sharp cover. I always wondered if anybody won. This Marvel comic could be worth $2,500 to you. I wonder if anybody actually ever won those contests. There he is fighting against a spirit from the olden days. This is where he faces off against Knight Rider. Now, back before this character came along, this character was known as Knight Rider, but then they did this one, so they had to change his name to from Ghost Rider to Knight Rider. He's a pretty cool character, too, sort of an Old West character. Like that one, or 52. This was actually the first Ghost Rider book from the Johnny Blaze series. This was the first one that I bought that wasn't a reprint. When he was fighting Ozymandias, or whatever the character was called. That was the first one I bought. It's good stuff. Werewolf by Night. Another Knight Rider cover. Or 57. 58. That's a good cover. This one always kind of reminded me of sort of like an EC Comics cover. You know, it'd be kind of cool if somebody could do the EC deal with it, like put the Ghost Rider logo in the little box like they used to do back in their Tales from the Crypt comics. That'd be awesome. Number 60, Black Juju. Probably would not be very acceptable right now. Whatever. A lot of these are newsstand too. Water Wizard. Arabian Night. It's back when, we just had fun. Okay, this one is top 2 favorite covers. And the other one is going to be coming up shortly. That one's a cool cover. Ozymandias. That's a nice cover. Issue 66, Whale of the Wind Witch. This is the other top 2 favorite covers. So there we go. And this is actually what you see in the background there. If I remember right, what you see in the background there actually is the first page of the comic itself. So he's just like bursting right out. So that's clearly not going to be mint since you got a Ghost Rider coming out there. This is also one of my top 5 favorite covers. Mephisto in the background. He's drawn more in his traditional style. Up until this point, he was portraying himself as Satan, quote unquote. And when they did this retelling of his origin, this is when they named him as Mephisto. That was Mephisto that had been screwing with him all these years, and not Satan, as it were. It's issue 70. We're in the home stretch. 71. 72. Another really nice cover. I think these are. Oh yeah, Bob. These are Budiansky covers. Nice. Circus of Crime. Centurious, the Soulless Man, was part of the downfall of Ghost Rider. There's his last logo. Steel Wind, she would show up later in the 90s. Another one of my favorite covers. I love that. This one, just the coloring and the composition. You got Johnny Blaze fighting Ghost Rider, and there's Mephisto down in the corner cheering them on. His bike's burning in the pit of hell. And there we see Zarathos on the cover for the first time. There's Nightmare. Nice stuff there. Issue 79. 80. Part 1 of the most stunning, most unexpected Ghost Rider saga of all. Also known as the beginning of the end for the Ghost Rider. And this would be the last issue. Now these books here, before I was able to get these, Marvel did this. It was the original Ghost Rider Rides Again. This was a 7-issue miniseries, and basically what they did was they took the last 14 issues of the original Ghost Rider run, and they recolored the covers, and each issue covered 2 of the original Ghost Rider series. So they were able to do the final 14 issues in this run. I always like the recoloring of that cover. That's pretty sharp. I like that recoloring. So that ran for 7 issues, ending there. And then later on, Marvel got the idea to try to reprint. I think the original plan was to reprint the entire run of the Johnny Blaze series, and the series was just simply called The Original Ghost Rider. And we got a really nice Mark Texiera, Paul Miotti cover for the first one. This is representing the first appearance of Johnny Blaze. So this is Marvel Spotlight number 5. So yes, I do have a printing of it, but it's not the original cover, which is why I would really love to have a facsimile edition of it. In this entire run, it started off with the Marvel Spotlights. So if you missed any of those, you would have those, and some really, really nice, awesome, sharp covers for these. But it started off with, these the Marvel Spotlight appearances, kind of give you the ground level. And I think it was around issue 8 or so is when they finally did Ghost Rider number 1. They had a pretty cool cover to it, too. Like that. Season of the Witch Woman. And, yep, issue 8. Representing Ghost Rider number 1. That's a pretty nice cover, too. So we had... I'm not sure who did that cover. But we had some pretty decent covers. There's see that? Hellstorm. And this one was done back in the 90s. Hellstorm had a series. Didn't last for very long. And the artist who did this cover did the art on that series. So that was pretty cool. Nice look. Like how that's the thing about this Ghost Rider that I liked is he didn't have a chain. I know they give Johnny Blaze a chain now. I don't understand why, but the original Blaze Ghost Rider used Hellfire. This is probably one of my favorite covers of this run here. I just love this cover for some reason. But he would use Hellfire, and he would use it to burn people. He would use it to trap people. He'd use it to make his motorcycle. And I mean, this character was a vicious character. Let me see if I can move this forward a little bit. It's a nice little cover there. So now this series, like I said, it started off pretty good. We got new covers. We got reprints of the early Ghost Rider appearances. But just like with everything else, I mean, you really can't expect to be able to reprint an entire series in individual format like that. Especially, I mean, it's a superhero comic. End of the day, it's a superhero comic, and popularity is only going to carry it so far. It's not like I know was it IDW reprinted recently the entire Max run, and that was fine. Max is not Ghost Rider, so it made sense. And Max also didn't run for 81 issues. And this was it, the Bone Crushing Finale, Mark Buckingham cover. I always liked Mark Buckingham's art. I think he did some Fable stuff. But that is it. That, my friends, was my Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider run. I decided to go ahead and put in those original Ghost Rider reprint books because technically as part of the series. I know he did show up in other books like Champions. Zarathos was in issue 274, if I remember right. It was issue 274 of Amazing Spider-Man. It was during Secret Wars, or I think it was Secret Wars 2. The Beyonder challenged Mephisto to a fight for control over Mephisto's realm, and each one was going to pick a champion, a proxy to fight on their behalf. And Mephisto picked Spider-Man, and the Beyonder got a hold of the Soul Crystal, which is where Zarathos was trapped at the end of his series, issue 81, and he freed Zarathos. It was Zarathos versus versus Spider-Man, and that was actually the first appearance, kind of a standalone appearance of Ghost Rider, of Zarathos rather, that kind of fell between the ending of his regular series and his reappearance in the 1990 Ghost Rider series during the Road to Vengeance story, I think is when he came back. So it was a pretty sizable gap, and you got that one appearance of Zarathos in there. So it's issue 274. It's got a pretty cool cover. And there's other appearances. He's been in What Ifs. I've got some of those. I've got other stuff, but this was mainly for the main Ghost Rider run. So I appreciate everybody for checking this out. I will be doing a second part to this at some point. Maybe not next week, but maybe a little bit down the road, because I do have the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. But then there's also all the Ghost Rider spin-offs. There's the Ghost Rider 2099, the Spirits of Vengeance, all the one-shots and mini-series and mini comics, and oh man, there's so much Ghost Rider stuff that I've got in my collection. It's crazy. So it might actually be a 3-parter. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification button down below, so you can get reminders when I'm going to be doing these. So of course, these Full Run Fridays always appear at 3 o'clock every Friday. So I appreciate you watching. I will see everybody next week with another weekly haul, weekly review video, and next Friday with another full run. And everybody, have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. I know it's really hot. We got some hurricanes or something going on down in Florida. Whatever. Be safe. Take care of your family first and foremost. Then take care of those specific comics in your collection that you really, really want to keep. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you next week.